going round and round and round, non-stop.
So does our logo get changed right as we're talking now?
Apparently, yeah.
Hi, this is the new streamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB, going solo network, radio and TV and podcast, number one internet singles talk network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine. Another good week for topics.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about play. How do you bring play into your dating and your relationships? I think this is play. It's been interesting how many people lately I've talked to as clients and just out in the world, they're all a little serious. I think there's a lot of serious things going on in the world, and play isn't always a natural part in the first place. And then when you have challenges in the world, in the big world and in your little world, the whole micro macros hard. I think play, as much as we need it even more, kind of goes by the wayside, which is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about when you're dating, how to do play, when you're first meeting, as you're getting to know each other, and then when you're in a relationship, and all the variety of ways you can bring in play.
Do that indeed, yes.
Yes, it's very important. So certainly when you're dating, to think about an activity, or if you're going to sit and have dinner, which is okay, have coffee or lunch or dinner and not do an activity.
Right.
To think of some things to talk about that you enjoy, what things bring you passion, what things make you excited, what things do you get out of bed to do? You would do it no matter what. You would make sure it's on your calendar to do. And make sure that you bring that up, because not only are you telling the other person about yourself, but we light up when we're talking about that. We look a little more sparkly, and that's very attractive to the other person when we are passionate about something and we're talking about it and we show it.
Absolutely. In fact, I would go as far as to say we may dive in again, because we do this all quite frequently about difference between men and women.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me personally, the idea of scheduling play is actually a good thing to do, not a bad thing. Because I would say, no, play should be spontaneous. You should have whenever it happens. Like the thing for us men, especially, women do it too, but especially for us men, we like to plan our days and schedule things and have things on our calendar. And so to have a spontaneity show in the middle of something I'm focused on that's important, it becomes more reactive and less cooperative. So the idea of actually scheduling play into your relationship. And now when you're dating, we'll get to that as well. But in terms of relationship, if you're in an ongoing relationship, to schedule a play day or a couple of hours this week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, whatever it is, that you decide that's when you have just nothing booked, which is two of you, and you do something silly, sexy, fun, playful, whatever it is, that adds juice to the relationship. And it also, to be simple, it puts a smile on your face. So having play scheduled is a good thing to do in a relationship, I think.
Yes. I talk about having meetings. I talk about planning sex. I talk about planning play, because hopefully you are doing some spontaneous stuff around it. That would be great.
Yes.
And for sure, if you plan it, it will happen. And then if you do it, what I found with people, that when they do it with a plan, then they go, oh yeah, that was good. That was fun. I like, we should do that again. And it can become more spontaneous. But in our world, often spontaneity really goes by the wayside, and the plans are the things that get done. I mean, we are very committed people. We put stuff on our calendar and we keep that appointment that's on our calendar. So let's put an appointment to play.
Yeah, makes total sense. I mean, and just by sidebar for a second, thinking about scheduling sex, a lot of people look at that as being something so vanilla and it's boring, and it's like, no. You want to make the time you have together very playful, exploratory, and everything else, but you want to make sure you make time for it so you don't have your mind distracted by something outside of it. Because most people, frankly, when having sex, the last thing they need is be thinking about work or something else outside of that. So making time allocated for your sex, same as for play, makes it easier to be detached enough to do what you want to do in that moment.
You get detached from the outside world so you can be more attached to each other.
There you go.
And for women mostly, and often now as we age, we like warm upness. We like you to play during the day, send us a text, say what you're looking forward to tonight, so that we have a chance to be kind of warmed up like a crock pot by the time that we are now together, whatever has happened during the day. When we've had other distractions and challenges and things, busyness, that keeps poking in and going, oh yeah, there's that. Oh yeah, to start getting juiced up and
Yeah,
excited about it. Because when you've scheduled it and you now talk about that you have this scheduled, I think it's can only make it better.
absolutely. And the thing about that, like you were saying, like the idea of, I'm going back to sex again. That's amazing how easy to get back to that.
Mhm.
But the idea of the foreplay being something that happens for hours, even days before you're actually scheduled to have it, is part of the fun of this. Because you've made that time, you both know this is when we're going to have this experience. We can precede that with all sorts of playful things. And basically, the good news is we're both getting excited for that moment. So it's a
Mhm.
great way to start putting the wheels in motion and creating the making it juicy before you get there. So
So
definitely work.
let's stay with the subject of sex. Of if you have something that you would like to try, or something that you would like them to do, or some place or an activity that involves sex, to think about it ahead of time and then put it out there. Gosh, I was thinking that maybe we could dress up in costumes and do role playing, or we could make a fun meal of only finger food and feed each other in bed. I mean, to really come up with something that sounds fun, that isn't hugely
Yeah,
complicated, and that you have a little chance to prepare physically, emotionally, supplies, mentally, you can now be even more ready.
yeah,
And I like planning. I like anticipating. Anticipating really works for me, which is why I'm really hard to surprise. I like surprises, but I notice stuff. And so the people who have surprised me have really had to work at it, because I
right.
like figuring stuff out. I like knowing the next thing. I wanted, let's do it even better. And how are you feeling about it? And
hmm
it does really get you already connected before you're connected. And you can
Right.
make sure that nobody's going to come over if you've got children that they're with somebody else or already in bed, and that you don't, as much as you can, have things that will interrupt you, that you've had a chance to really plan it out. Which
Yeah.
is one of the challenge with spontaneity, is that, okay, who knows what'll happen. And if you've had the plan times, then the spontaneity, when if something happens, hopefully you'll laugh about it, which is so important. It's
Oh,
so
God, yeah.
important to laugh. It's so important to keep your sense of humor about, how's your body doing today? Is there something new you can and can't do? And how can we work around it? I mean, you have a choice of making this very serious or playful. And
Yeah.
everything can be playful about, can you put your leg this way? No, but I could put my leg this way, and put your arm over here. And it's just, somebody leans on somebody's hair, or farts, or, I mean, stuff happens. And if you are already in a playful mood, you just go, oh, yeah, I was so excited. I farted.
Right.
I
Exactly.
mean,
And that's the
really, if
thing.
you just stay in
Yeah.
that mood. Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, I know the topic is about bringing play into your dating relationship,
Yeah.
but frankly, shouldn't sex be playful anyway? So this
Mhm.
this conversation about sex is kind of part of the puzzle. And I want to keep underscoring this point that yes, planning spontaneity does actually make sense in this context. That it is about, because spontaneity works better when there's freedom to do so, which means when you plan the space in which to do it, it gets easier to do. Spontaneity, when it's in the middle of something different that's so distracting, can really create discord between you and your partner, because they're in the middle of doing something else and they're not able to play with the way you want to play. So bringing play into the relationship, again, we're going to get to dating at some point, but we'll start with relationship. It's easy to build from that place, to create the space to make play a part of your calendar so that when you do a spontaneity, there's a room for it and place for it where both of you are allocated to it. So much better, because again, if one of you is not on the same page or you're basically not on the same page because one of you wants to be spontaneous, the other person's knee deep in taxes or something, it may not be the best time. So making time for it. And on a little caveat on that is, if you have an agreement with your partner that in certain environment situations, spontaneity is okay, meaning that it may not be planned for, but during this particular time, if you want to jump his bones sort of thing, he's going to be okay with that because he knows he's not like got to get this done. Yeah. That's workable too. But it's like you really have to have like guaranteed playtime and then available playtime, in a sense, having like those sort of things. That makes more sense for me,
That's a really good point. Thank you. And so to wrap up the sex part of our conversation, toys, experiment with toys, experiment with food, experiment with different places in your home. And you might say, yeah, that was great to do once. I wouldn't want to do that again. Okay, you did it. And then was there any part of it you liked that you would now include in something else? Is there some other way that you can rearrange it or readjust it, or say, gosh, I never thought about that because that was a problem, but geez, if we did this instead, it needs to be, for me, I always have to be warm. I have to be warm. I don't do good cold. It hurts my body. So I have to always make sure I'll even put an electric blanket underneath me because that'll keep me warm.
Yep. Right.
And sometimes I wear socks. Only socks, but I have to wear socks because my feet get really cold. So especially if my blood's going other places. So that's a playful thing about me. And I have all kinds of patterned socks with things on it. So that can be fun too. But thinking about what could you each add, and that you take turns. That's the part I was going to bring up for this whole conversation. The playful part that it's not on one person. Yeah. Maybe one person's better at it. Great. Or one person makes a list and the other person gets to pick from the list. That would be okay. You don't have to come up with the list every time. They might not be good at that, but they get to now pick something that they're now in charge of. They're in charge of beginning, middle, and end of how this playful thing is going to happen. So if we move, did you have more that you wanted to say about sex? Because you and I never get tired of talking about it.
Well, I'll say this, is if you haven't listened to or watched our episode when we talked about sex, go and listen to that as well. This is basically just a bridge between this and play. So yes, we can jump into play if you like.
So when you're first dating, so if you're going to just meet and your date is going to consist of coffee or lunch or dinner, and you're going to stay put at least for an hour, there's all these wonderful cards. There's decks of cards now that you can purchase that have interesting questions to ask the other person. And I loved those. I've gotten a few, and I've had clients that have gotten them, and they've really sparked some interesting conversations. And that way you don't have to come up with the question, but they're fun. Like what was your very favorite thing to do when you were a kid? When you were all alone, you had an afternoon to yourself. I mean, all the answers have been quite different, which is fun. Or what's something that you've always wanted to do? If you could do anything, that would be really fun. Nothing is holding you back. That's been a really fun question because you're still talking about play. You're still talking about fun, and the person will light up when they talk about it.
That's such a key thing. What I love about this is establishing a framework that you want to play in, literally play in, but the idea of basically that you've now got something where it's not just, okay, where do you live? How old are you? What are the kids? That sort of stuff, which is so mechanical. And to bring the flair of something outside the box, which really does, especially when there's questions that are direct that way, I know what you mean, questions that really do reveal yourself to your date, can really add to the conversation, because not only is it great to learn about each other, but the way you do it and the way it's been set up, it makes it much easier to be just a willing participant where you can play and have fun with it. The other part is, and I was going to, when you said it, when you started to think about on the first date, what I already went to was, well, we'd been dating for a little while, second date, third date. there is the thing about the first date being something more formal or more mechanical or more just limited because you're just getting to know each other. You're like not sure if it's a good thing or not.
Yeah.
But if you're on a second or third or fourth date, you're not in relationship yet. There's a lot of things you can do that are playful, like go to the park and throw a frisbee, or go to the beach and check out the boats or something. Like there's things you can do that are playful with each other that are not structured where you have to go for dinner at a restaurant like every single time you get together. So bringing play into your dating experience is something that will definitely be more fun, because the thing is, if it doesn't work out, you at least had some fun times with somebody, and you can be free to move on to somebody else. But if it does work out, you've got a good baseline to build from, because now you've got an established connection with a lot of joy and laughter and friendship there, which makes a greater foundation for a healthy relationship anyway. So to bring play into your dating experience, and I don't mean like, surprising your partner out of the blue. I mean, planned surprise in the sense that doing planned play as well. Are great ways to disarm that initial reserve and uncertainty by just being real with each other.
It can really help with the nerves. And when you were talking about frisbee, last summer I played frisbee golf, which was really fun.
Yeah.
I had no idea how much fun that was going to be. Even though I'm not a very good frisbee thrower, I had fun. The other thing that I've suggested to people is go play miniature golf.
Oh, yeah.
Miniature golf is really interesting because some people take it very seriously, especially if they're golfers. And so now you get to see, in a playful, more lighthearted atmosphere, how competitive are each of you? Not good or bad, just you're observing. How are you reacting? How are they reacting?
Yeah.
How well do you play well together? How well do you interact with the people that are before you and behind you? Because it's not just to do the thing. It's to now, those two things that are really important. Every time you're with another person, what are you learning about yourself and what are you learning about them? And do you now feel at the end that you want to spend more time with them, with what you've learned about how you feel with them and how they seem to feel when you're interacting with them and checking them out and listening to what they say and how you feel about them? And so I love the idea of going someplace and doing something together, even if it's that you go walk around town and poke in and out of stores, or you go to an art gallery, or you go to a place where there's a concert, like in the middle of a park or a mall. So now you have that to talk about as well as getting to know each other. I think it helps with the nerves. It can help with the uncomfortableness, especially for introverts that are like, ooh, what do I talk about? And, I want to talk about something substantial. Well, now you have something more substantial to talk about. And it's under the guise of playing and not being serious about dating.
I think it's a good idea. The thing for me, from what you said, what came up was miniature golf hit me, because I remember, I think in my 20s, when miniature golf was so not cool. Like if you're dating somebody, miniature golf is so kid-like, you shouldn't do it, childish. But the funny thing is, as time goes by, I realized that miniature golf, as you said, was a great place to get to know, because you get to know how the other person is, their style is. Not so much are they a great player, are they competitive? Do they get frustrated? Do they enjoy themselves? Do they really have a light heart about playing it? Because the thing about miniature golf is it's not make or break life itself, but some people make it that way. So it's a good test drive to see if this person will handle stress well. So those sort of structured things that are playful with their scores, and you go to Penny Arcade, or go other places where there's games of skill at a fairground. Those sort of things are great fun too. However, the thing is that having humility about your skill level, or having unconditional regard for your partner's lack of skill, that way, can be a great gift to each other. So having that understanding of how you're doing this to have fun with each other and to get to know each other without judgment or blame or righteous indignation, even. It's like, it's a place to have fun. That's why playing in your dating is a great place to get to know somebody, because it builds a good platform, as I mentioned earlier, that baseline to build from. So do it wisely.
Are you both good sports? Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, I have so learned that in spades sometimes.
yeah.
And I love how you say humble, because being humble about if you're a lot better or if you're not so much better,
Hmm.
how do you handle that? I think that's really telling when you're saying, what am I learning about me? And that it's telling what you're learning about them. So
Right.
I was thinking of other activities that I've gone on and my clients have gone on to go axe throwing. That's a new thing that's pretty interesting.
Yes,
Or an
indeed.
escape room. Or oh, I had two other things that you could go throw darts or bowling. I
Hmm.
went bowling recently. That was a riot because I'm not very good, but I'm not hugely competitive. I just like doing stuff. So
Hmm.
I was fine with it. And it was interesting to see how he was with that. I'm fine, that I never break 100. I just never break 100, but I have
Hmm.
a fun time. I think I did like at 101, one of the games, but it's not a big deal to me. I just like being out doing stuff. And I'm watching all the other people going, wow, look how good they are.
Right.
So to find something that you don't have to be good at,
Yes.
and if you are good at it, being humble about, would you like some instruction? Would you like, because I'm always happy to get some help about how to do stuff. And or if they're just happy doing it on their own, be okay enough with that. Because if it turns out you're not, which is a good thing to learn, that might be a hard thing in a future relationship if you're too far apart. I mean, I have
Right.
couples that I've worked with that are both really competitive, which is a whole nother set of things to work out,
Hmm.
because there isn't much room for either one of them to not win. So how
Right.
do we work that out? That they're both okay with one person winning and the other person not every time. So to just learn, who am I and what's working for me and what's working for the other person, and do we work together? And as much as we keep talking about it's lighthearted, it can be really serious. So if you watch out for, am I starting to feel serious? Are they starting to feel serious? Is there something we could do or talk about to have us be more lighthearted about this, more
Yeah.
playful? Since you keep wanting playful to be the front of the brain while you're doing this.
Well, that's the other part. I think it's key. And I did mention earlier about how not necessarily on the first date, but second and beyond dates could definitely have more playfulness in them.
Mhm.
But I know that some people, I'm not saying just myself, because other people do too, have gone on dates and felt very serious from the get go. Have felt very um, attached to it being a certain way. And playfulness, in a way, is counter to that because it takes away that requirement, that seriousness, that have to do things. And so having, and this is I'm talking to myself about this one just for those who are listening because I am dating, is to have the playfulness in my awareness as I'm going on a first date is absolutely such a um, key that frees me up, because I know sometimes when I've gone on dates, I've gone in with such a what's what I'm looking for? It's not seriousness is not the right word, but having like a gauge of how things are, like measurement and guarantees and qualifications, and she did this or she didn't do that, and all these things they get in the way of me getting to know the person.
Yep.
Now, maybe true for other people, maybe about me, only be about me, but I'm just saying maybe true for other people too. Is that having playfulness in my awareness as I'm on dates is I have more. I guess what I say is I have more capacity for variation on all the different areas that I think I'm so certain about, which makes it easier. So having playfulness in your heart, in your mind, however you want to describe it, when you go on a first date, even though you're not doing anything playful on the date, having playfulness under the surface make first of all, playfulness to me means light-hearted,
Yeah.
means your heart isn't heavy, means you're actually in a better space. So you actually be more approachable, I would suspect, and be more open to laughter and lightheartedness is a good thing. So playfulness doesn't mean necessarily acting out certain playful things or ways of being, but it's a way of being in a energetic place where you're more detached, flexible, interested, joyful when you go to meet somebody, which are all good qualities. So playfulness works in all sorts of levels.
Oh boy, that resonates with me, Barry, because sometimes I'll as I'm talking to clients during the day, we'll end up on a lighter note, or they even will have a lighter conversation because they've had some pleasant experiences. And then sometimes the conversations, as you know, can be, I mean, they're crying. Life is hard. And
Yeah.
I don't internalize their feelings. I'm good about that. And it still leaves me with that heavy conversation because I was very engaged with them. And it is, as you said, needs to be a mental switch that I have to physically think about. I have to emotionally and mentally prepare myself because I don't even always realize that I just go out in the world now with this energy still on me that isn't how I'm personally feeling necessarily, and it's still there. So
Yeah.
that is such a good point to check in with yourself, because there's been times when I've had friends who've said, let's go do something. And I'm like, I just know I'm not in the right place. I'm not. I'm going to stay home and do my nails. Because most of the time I can get myself out of it. But every once in a while I go, it's not happening. Okay.
Right.
So that you've checked in and and then what is it I need to do so that I can now let that go eventually so that I can be back to my best self tomorrow for me and my clients and my friends and my family. And so that is so important, what you said about being conscious of it and making a conscious thought and doing something actively to now switch it.
Yeah.
Because as we started out saying this, right now, there's a lot conspiring against us feeling playful. There just is. I think it's going to be an interesting year for lots of people with the politics and the finances. And so the spontaneous is going to be a little harder to come by. And because we're nice, grown up people, we can make decisions about what kind of play are we going to do. So I'm now going to go to a lawn bowling this weekend. I haven't done it in forever. Actually, I have my own bocce ball set, but I haven't played with a group of people for a couple years. And so I thought, I'm going to go do that. I haven't done it in a while. It's actually kind of local. It's just in a couple cities over. And I'm going to see how I feel because it's something I already know I like. And we'll see
Yeah.
if I like the people and if I like the group and what they're doing because apparently they go every Sunday. So and then I guess they meet during the week too, but I'm going to see if I like it. You never know. You try it once. I always say try it a couple of, unless it's awful, try it a
Right.
couple of times because if anything, I'll feel lighter after. Even if
Right.
I don't like the people, I'm outdoors, I'm playing this thing that's fun. You don't have to be really good at it. And it's fun. It's a way to make my life at the end of the week, the beginning of the next week, start off on a lighter note. So I'm consciously looked on Meetup and found this and signed up and put it in my calendar. So I'll keep the date because that's the other thing. We have to make commitments to ourselves to add play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So when you're saying that, I was just thinking because Saturday rather, I started doing this thing a couple of months ago. Now I'm engrossed and love doing it as I go volunteer where we go basically distribute food to needy families. And it sounds like it's a great service. It's wonderful giving your heart and everything else. But truthfully and selfishly, it's a lot of fun because the people who are in the crew, we've become, I'm getting, some of them are new people. A lot of people are regulars. So I've got to know some of them. And I can't remember their names, but our interactions are just playful, lighthearted and fun. And we do things that, even though it's all in service to the donation, and not like we have a production line down the table. We have like a box of groceries being built as it goes down the table, adding all the vegetables and things in. But it becomes a game we play with each other. And for me, and so yes, I do it because it's a chance to give from my heart. I haven't been a service for a while, so I have to have that chance. But to include that perspective, that piece, we're going to have fun with it, and we become friends, and it becomes lighthearted. And so, if you're somebody out there listening to this or watching this that finds their life is a bit too serious, like their work or whatever they're doing is so fully committed and so serious they don't have any fun, like like lawn bowling, like you're doing, or doing something where you're serving, do things that get you out of your regular conformative, maybe reserved space, and do something different, because those sort of activities that don't require you to be in charge of anything necessarily, don't require you to be logistically functional. You just want to go play and have fun. it will change your state. And yes, like you were saying, these sort of things, when you go on a date after that, not even with the people you met in the environments, your energy shifted. Because some people, unfortunately, they have such a, I don't want to say necessarily say a monotone, but it's almost like a state level that's always the same through everything they do. When they go on a date, they don't know how to change it. So disrupt your own monotony by doing things that are fun in your social life, so that when you go on a date, you actually bring play into your dates more easily, because it's a big effort to shift from no play to go on a date and then, oh, I've got to play now. How do I do that? So have funny activities you do socially that are play based. It just becomes part of your makeup and makes it easy for you to bring it forward when you're on a date too.
It's exercising your play muscle. And
Yes.
I have a client that he met his girlfriend packing food.
Oh,
Yeah. They noticed each other, but it was like how we used to meet in big groups of people where
right.
you didn't have
Yes.
to sit across the table and meet a stranger, that you felt like you got to see them interact with other people. And sometimes they'd end up next to each other in the packing process. And, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, you camped. Oh, I like camping. Where did you go? And then they would not be next to each other the next time. And then the next time they would, sort of conniving. And then they finally started, he asked her for coffee. And
Hmm.
especially for us women, we want to get to know you and feel safe. Well, this is
Yes.
such a great atmosphere to see. Well, you must have a giving heart if you're here. And how are you acting with other people, including me? And then the fun thing that happens if you go to something for a while with the same people is you start with inside jokes and funny little things like, oh, I see how you do that box. And oh, I do the box this way. And I mean, group joining can just lighten us up,
Yeah.
especially when it's in an atmosphere where nobody's doing something it's important, but it's not the important. Where
Right.
so often our lives feel really important, and that's really, and it should be serious. This is the important that's not so serious. And you're
Absolutely.
allowed to be silly, and you're allowed to make a joke, and allowed to tell a funny experience that happened in your life. And that
Hmm.
way you're also getting to know people. I think volunteering is such a good way to lighten your heart, get with a group of people that already are having a good time. I mean, I know people that have been part of Habitat for Humanity for
Oh,
a
yeah.
really long time,
Mm.
and they hard work. I mean, it is hard physical labor, and they just have the best time because they laugh and they're with other people, and they're like, oh, I'll hold the board because you're a better hammer person, and oh, I bend the nails, so you do it this. And
Yeah.
they have this wonderful reciprocity that's happening. And
Right.
as you said, it now keeps bringing that more back up to the front, that you can now take it to the rest of your life, where
Mm.
you can maybe be a little more playful with your friends, not even dating people, your family, so that you can keep exercising that muscle. Because the more you exercise it, the more easily it is to access when you're having a meeting with somebody brand new that you think is really cute and you get all intimidated, to be able to bring up some of the fun, lighthearted part.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because I mean, I haven't done a consistent service in place for a long time, and I forgot how much fun it was. And it was funny because a friend of mine reached out to me and said, come do it. I mean, it was an invitation from a friend, and it's funny. I have only seen him there once since, because he's in the film business, and he's been traveling, so he's been out of the road. He's on the board of directors for the organization, so he's not like he disappeared. But it was a great gift because I've just gotten to know everybody else there, not through him, but because of my own volition. And it is this camaraderie and friendship. And the other part of this is true too, is that you never know who they know, because you may not necessarily meet somebody in the crew you're with. But if you make an impression on some people, not like you're out of way to do so, but just by the fact you're in play and that people get to know you, and you come across as trustworthy and honest and fun and cute and all these things, they may go, I know somebody they need to meet.
Mhm.
It's like, again, like the old days. It's in the old days you could be amongst people and they'd say, a friend of a friend. Most of us, I think, before smartphones and dating apps and dating sites, all those things, we often met people we were in a relationship with because we were in the right environments, or we knew somebody who knew somebody. So this is just the same idea. And again, playful, lighthearted. I mean, doesn't necessarily mean you got to play at everything you do, but bringing the energy of play into whatever you do is a powerful methodology to be a more joyful life, because playfulness to me ties into joyfulness and happiness and ease. So when you, especially, and also, by the way, if you have a really intense job that you're always getting stressed out at, when you go play, what happens, it resets you. So when you do go back to work, you may actually approach it from a much easier place and may have more success. So lots of wins in this column.
Yep. It's balancing your life, balancing your energy, balancing. It's as if you were only using your right arm all the time and never your left arm, depending on which your dominant arm is. That this way you're making a point of using the other muscle and making it stronger, making it more available, that you now are more aware. Oh, yeah, I could do that. Oh, I could look at that more lightheartedly. I could make a comedic remark about it, or encourage the person that I know is going to say something funny. Oh, I know you have something funny to say about that, and you wouldn't even have to say it yourself, but you get to laugh at it. And
Absolutely.
so much right now, it's been about a year and a half, people are going to, I want to meet somebody organically. I don't want to use online dating. I want to do, okay.
Yeah.
Everything we have said is very organic.
Yes.
Very organic. Joining meetups, joining clubs, doing something that's volunteering, that you already know you have this thing in common with whoever's going to be there.
Yeah.
And so that's a very organic way to now make friends, to get out and do something that you'll feel happy about doing, that you'll learn something, you'll get better at something, you'll feel good about yourself because you did something, especially volunteering. And then, as you said, you never know who you're going to meet there. That might be somebody interesting for you, and they're interested in you, or they have pools of people that you wouldn't meet without them. And so just being in their presence, you never know. And the other thing I say is ask the people what other things they're doing. If you already have this thing in common, it might be that they're part of a kayak group. It might be part of their dog training group. They might do stuff with horses, since we know I'm a horse crazy person. I just found out about another horse place that's closer to me. I know. Just by saying how much I like horses, they go, do you know about this place in Orange Park Acres, which is really close? I'm like, no, I'm calling them too. So when you go someplace and you ask them what they do, or say, gosh, I have an interest in this, do you know anybody who's doing that? And it does require you getting off your couch and going out into the world.
Indeed.
Please, what I say, isn't this horrible homework? I want you to go do something you think is fun. I think that's good homework to do, right?
Absolutely.
I'm such a mean coach.
Oh yeah, you are. So terrible. I'm making people have fun. Oh God. But the thing, and I'll underscore that point, is that I know my work with my clients, we often dive into the deeper emotional, challenging, and trauma-based stuff that we go through. But the reality is, once we come out of that, and along the way, ideally, we have highlights in the area where we can line up and have some fun. And the thing is that many people in the world are carrying those emotional wounds and baggage from past relationships and heartbreak. We know, because we work with clients like this. So we're not saying to negate that or ignore that, or to be Pollyanna about it. We're saying about the fact that having a lighthearted approach to life actually makes it easier to deal with that stuff that's buried down deep. It's not locked in some sort of stones. You can't move it. So as a side note, healing, one, allows you to be more lighthearted and playful and have fun, but also being more lighthearted and fun along the way makes healing easier as well. So it's a reciprocal arrangement. So nobody has an excuse not to be willing to have some fun and play along the way. It doesn't matter how much stuff you're carrying from the past. It'll help you deal with the past.
So Barry and I are both here to say, while you're doing your trauma work and your hard work with us, it doesn't have to always be awful. It doesn't. There's no rule that says the whole entire time you're healing, you're supposed to feel awful. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to heal that way, and neither of us want to teach that way.
No,
so
indeed.
You can see we can come up with lots of very fun, easy to do, easy to ease in, easy to keep you buoyed up, to give you some hope, to give you some direction, to have life feel lighter, to get your buoy feeling a little lighter while you're doing your work. Because we're big advocates about doing your work, but it's not awful all the time. I don't want awful all the time.
it would be tedious and horrible to be a coach coaching that way. Frankly, that's why I don't want to be a therapist.
Yeah, I send them to therapists when they need that, right?
Yes, right.
So, if any of this has resonated with you, you want to know, gosh, I'd really like to add more play. Maybe that would be a good goal this year, to add a little bit more play into your life in general and your personal relationships with whoever you're with, and how to attract somebody new to be playful with. Perry and I would be so happy to talk to you about that, because we have lots of ideas.
Indeed.
So the way to get a hold of me is through my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. And you can sign up for my email list, where you'll get new announcements and also the podcast. You can also click on what's holding you back from love. You'll get a chance to have a consultation with me for free for an hour. You'll also see my classes are up. The men's class is almost full on January 3rd. On Tuesday and Wednesday, January 4th for the women. Yeah, I limit it to 10 people because it's really easier to help you all work better when it's a smaller group.
Yeah.
You can also send me an email about my class or anything else that's going on in your life to Christine@theperfectcatch.com. Also, at the bottom of my website is all my social media. You just click on the cute little links of Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter, X, whoever they are nowadays. And Threads. I finally joined Threads, since you run Threads. Catch up with you. And tell people how to reach you, Barry.
Thank you. So, like Christine, I have a website and other things, ways to reach me too. So my website is my name, make it easy, which is barryselby.com. The site, as it's been going for a while, is getting closer and closer to being ready for live updates to the new version. But in the meantime, it still works. So on the homepage there, you can click on the top link, and which it says, take the next step, take your first step, and sign up for a discovery session with me. At the bottom of the screen, you can join my email list. There's an option at the bottom to sign up for my email list right there. Also, my quiz is live, has been for a while now. You can definitely jump into that. So if you go to barryselby.com/quiz, thank you, Cece, for putting it up. And you can do the quiz, which basically is a relationship readiness assessment. So it's discovering for yourself where you are on the path, and if you're doing great or if you're not. And if you need some help, you can reach out to me. So that's a real fun self-discovery process you do for yourself. There's no what's I'm looking for? There's no attachments, no investment. It's just like something to do for yourself. And yes, the invitations to work to find out more about my work. That's all it is. So really easy. You can send me an email at barry@barryselby.com. And on my social media, apart from Instagram, is Barry Selby. So Facebook, YouTube especially, we have tons of videos. LinkedIn, X/Twitter, yes, that one. Pinterest, etc. Instagram, and because of that, Threads, because Threads is part of Instagram, are both the real Barry Selby. It's the only account that's different. And also, by the way, I started doing these as of New Year's Day. I started talking about self-love a lot more. And I actually got feedback from one of my coaches, because I'm also a client to a coach, about changing how I'm talking about this stuff. So I'm going to do some teachings in my self-love, like 2-3 minute talks. They'll give you steps you can take to be more in better relationship with yourself. So if you're not following your social media, it's about time you did.
Yes. Loving yourself is always the good place to start.
Yes, indeed.
So we are here every week from 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. We would love for you to watch us live through StreamYard, and also to share and subscribe and like our podcasts when you watch them, and to share them with other people that you think might be having a challenge. People that you're like, I'm a playful person, but they're not. So I'm going to send them this video so they can learn how to be more playful.
Indeed.
And then you can watch us on Roku and all the streaming services for video. And then you also can take us with you on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio, so that you can listen to us in the car. You can listen to us when you're walking or shopping. And we would love to have feedback. And what? Oh, at the gym.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the gym. It makes working out is so much easier listening to a podcast.
Oh,
I'm a huge fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
And let us know what you think. We'd love to hear what you think about what we're doing and what we're saying. And if you have other subjects you'd like us to cover, we're always open to suggestions.
Absolutely. And definitely, these shows, by the way, are progressed on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you see them there, please feel free to share them with your friends, put them in your profile.
Yeah.
make comments on them too, because definitely we love feedback. And also, if you got ideas or you like what we said, let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, we just love hearing from people. Makes us happy.
Yep.
So we'll be back next week with another scintillating subject. We're going to talk about finances.
Oh, yeah, that'll be fun.
When and how to talk about them. Ooh. Sometimes that's even harder than sex, I think.
Definitely. One of the big three.
See you next week.
See you then. Take care.